And so here we are coming to the end of 2022. Where did the time go? Honestly, where did 2022 go? Anyways, in this episode of Happy Without Medicine, what I'm going to be doing is sharing 5 things that we must absolutely leave behind in 2022 in order to make the most of 2023. So keep listening and enjoy the episode. Welcome to Happy Without Medicine, and I'm your host, Dr. Yewande, a medical doctor, therapist, and a fierce advocate for your happiness. My mission here is simple: to help professional women just like you create a life you're excited to wake up to. It's time to make the happiness you feel on the inside match the success others see on the outside. Let's get started. And so if you're listening to this in real time, we are in the final couple of weeks of December 2022. And it's just interesting to think that this year has gone by just like that. Yes, have there been days when things seem to be dragging on, and you can't wait to get through this day, or you can't wait to get through this week? Yeah, those days have happened to me too, but in the grand scheme of things, it just seems like the time has gone by really quickly. And in reflecting on 2022, I really want us to go into 2023 with the mindset that this is going to be the best year so far, and things are only going to get better and better from here on out. But in order to do that doesn't happen by default. We have to be intentional about making each year better than the one before, and each day better than the one before, each week, each month, each quarter better than the one before. Because if we just let things happen, it's not going to happen by default. We have to be intentional about it. And yes, this is the end of December 2022, but to be honest, I'm a big advocate of not waiting for a new year to start before making the necessary changes. You already know that there are things that need to be changed. There's no point in waiting another 2 weeks to get started. You might as well get started now. So I say that to say, if you're listening to this and it's not December 2022, it's January, it's February, it's 2025, 2030, wherever it might be, wherever this podcast might find you, now is the best time to start making these changes. And so I'm going to be going through 5 things that I strongly believe that we must leave behind in 2022 or wherever it is that this podcast is finding you. And so we're going to jump right into it. And the first one is ignoring your values. Things never end well when you ignore your values for too long. Your values, like I like to say, are your North Star. They help with guiding the decisions that you're about to make. So maybe financial security is one of your values, but so is community. And there's a job that's available to you that pays really, really well, but requires you to move somewhere where it's isolated. Those two values are contradicting themselves, but at the end of the day, it's important to actually know what your values are, because then you can sit down and make decisions, not just on a whim or random decisions or decisions by default. You're actually being intentional about these decisions and making decisions that are more likely to give you that fulfillment that comes from honoring your values. And so if you don't know what your values are, I have a worksheet that's available. It's going to be in the show notes. So go ahead and download it and figure out what your values are, because once you know what your values are, it makes the decision-making process so much easier. It's not going to be 100% easy, but it definitely makes it easier, because at least you know that this is in line with my values. I'm more likely to be fulfilled if I make this decision versus a different decision that completely goes against your values. And so in 2022, we are leaving behind ignoring what our values are. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing we're leaving behind in 2022 is moving on too quickly from the things that are going well. So moving on too quickly from when we accomplish certain goals or when we reach certain milestones or when something amazing happens. And so just about an hour ago, I was on the phone with a friend and she had sent me a text message saying that she had passed some exams that she had been studying for a very long time. And as I was celebrating, congratulating her, I was just about to ask, and so what's next? Right? That was on the tip of my tongue, but I caught myself and I said, no, that we're not going to do that. We're going to sit in this space of gratitude. We're going to sit in this space of celebration. Because yes, as women who like to achieve and we're goal-getters and goal-setters and we are accomplishers, it's very easy for us to accomplish something and then ask, okay, so what's next? And I really want us to leave that behind in 2022 because gratitude and just really sitting in that space of celebration is so good for our minds. It's so good for our mental health. It's so good, even just in general, as a general practice. When you're in a space of gratitude, you open up yourself to enjoy life more. But if we're in this space of perpetually chasing goal after goal, milestone after milestone, we will never enjoy our lives. And so I want us to get into the habit of sitting in a space of celebration, sitting in a space of gratitude, not moving on too quickly from when things have gone right, from when we have accomplished certain goals and reached certain milestones. Stay there. Think back to when this was still a dream or this was still a goal and now it has been accomplished. Think back to all the steps that you had to take, the sleepless nights, the doubts, the worries, the fear. Do not allow negativity steal the joy that comes from the fulfillment of a long-term dream. Gratitude is so, so important. And so I really want to encourage you that going into the next phase of life, whether you're listening to this in real time, and we're going into 2023, or maybe it's a new quarter for you, or a new week, or a new day, whatever that might be, leave that behind, that habit of moving on too quickly from things that we should really be sitting and celebrating in. Okay? Promise you're going to do that? Good. Okay. And so the next thing we're going to be leaving behind in 2022 is this habit that many of us have of making opinions facts, turning opinions into facts, because this is a source of a lot of frustration. It's a source of a lot of disappointment, anger, bitterness, and many different negative emotions, guilt, resentment, regret, when we take opinions and we turn them into facts. And so what do I mean by that? So say it is a sunny day in August and the temperature, you go outside, if you have one of those old school thermometers with the mercury going up and down, and it lands on 26 degrees Celsius. It's a sunny day and it's 26 degrees Celsius. That's fact. That's not debatable. Gather a bunch of people, look at the thermometer. Everyone's going to agree that the line stops at 26 degrees Celsius, assuming that everybody's vision is working properly. Okay? That's a fact. But if someone comes and says, oh, it's 26 degrees, it's sunny outside, it's a beautiful day, well, that can be debatable. Right? Not everybody thinks 26 degrees sunny weather is a beautiful day. Someone else might say, it's a bit too hot. It's a bit too bright. It's a bit too humid. I'm not feeling this weather. I'd rather have some wind, some snow, some rain, whatever that might be. That's beautiful weather to me. So I give that example to say that sometimes many of us will take our opinions and make them facts, and we will tell ourselves stories that cause us more stress, cause us more anxiety. So putting it in the work setting, you underperform on a particular project. And so there were typos in your presentation, you stumbled on your words, and you take that to mean, I suck at this job. I'm not cut out for this job. Well, the fact is, yes, there were typos in your presentation. Everybody can see that. Nothing to be debated there. But is it really fact that you suck at this job? I believe that there is some opinion there. Somebody else might look at you and be like, wow, you're so good at this. Yes, you stumbled on your words. Yes, there were some typos. You were probably having a bad day. You were probably sleep deprived, but we're not going to take that to mean that you suck at your job. And so there's a differing in opinions there. The problem then becomes when you take it as fact that you suck at your job, when the truth is that you probably don't. You just didn't do well on that particular assignment. So at the end of the day, we really need to get good at differentiating between what is fact and what is opinion, and not allowing opinions to rule our lives, to cause us to make decisions that are taking us away from our goals instead of towards our goals. All right? Okay. And speaking of goals, the next thing we're going to leave in 2022 is self-sabotage. And I've done an episode on self-sabotage in the past. It's episode 5, How to End Self-Sabotage Once and For All. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, definitely check it out once you're done with this one. But self-sabotage takes you away from your goals. Even though it disguises as behaviors that are helping you, at the end of the day, what it's doing is taking you away from your goals. So it's these repeated patterns of behaviors that serve as roadblocks and obstacles that you put in your own way that prevent you from reaching your goals instead of taking you towards your goals. So some examples of self-sabotage: overthinking things leading to paralysis and indecision, missing deadlines because you're overthinking things, procrastinating because you're afraid of actually committing to something. Or in some people, it looks like micromanaging your relationships. And so you say that you want this supportive, loving relationship, yet you're micromanaging, you're nitpicking. And what ends up happening is that you end up pushing the other person away. And so instead of taking you towards your goals, that of having a loving, supportive relationship, the micromanaging is taking you away from that goal. It might be overeating, right? You have this goal of losing weight, getting fit, getting strong, yet every time you drive past an A&W, you're picking up 2 apple pies and a crispy chicken, spicy chicken sandwich, okay? It might look like overspending. Every time your bank account gets to a certain limit, you end up spending the money all the way right down, right? So behaviors like that, so repeated patterns of behaviors that take you away from your goals instead of towards them, the self-sabotage, please, 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 we are leaving this behind in 2022. If you notice that you have this tendency to repeat patterns that take you away from your goals, it's time to address those things such that you are now moving towards your goals instead of away from them repeatedly. All right. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up in this episode today, the last thing we're going to be leaving in 2022 is mismanaging your space. Mismanaging your space. So we hear a lot about mismanaging our time. We even hear about mismanaging our energy, obviously very important things. But in this 2022, I want us to leave behind the habit of mismanaging our space. And what does that look like? It looks like holding on to stuff, just a bunch of stuff that no longer adds value to your life, or maybe never even added value to your life to begin with. And in fact, these things might be taking away from your peace of mind. You're developing clutter everywhere to this point that you don't even see it anymore. You spend so much time wasted looking for one thing or the other because things are not in their appropriate place. They're all over the place because things in your home, in your office, they don't have a space where you know that, okay, my keys always go here, or the tissue always goes there, or my pens always go there. Things just end up in random places in your home, in your office, and you spend so much time wasted looking for things. At this point, I know that you've probably tried many ways to organize your home. You've bought containers, you've bought boxes, labels even maybe. The point is that you cannot organize clutter, okay? So it's time to let it go, right? I want you to have a low threshold for donating things, for selling things, for throwing things away. I mean, if you haven't used these items in a year, if you haven't worn these shoes in a year, if you haven't worn these clothes in a year, chances are you won't miss it when it's gone, serving another person or serving another household. So declutter your space. Stop mismanaging your space, because believe it or not, that is also contributing to you not having the energy and the capacity to do the things that you want to do, to work towards the goals that you want to work towards. And it's also costing you your peace. Like I said, it's costing you your peace of mind. Okay? So those were the things that I wanted to highlight as far as things that we should be leaving in 2022. Ignoring your values, moving on too quickly from the things that are going well, things that you should be celebrating, making your opinions facts, self-sabotage, and mismanaging your space. And I'm sure there's lots more. I would love to hear from you on Instagram or on LinkedIn. What are the things that you are leaving behind in 2022? What are the things that you're leaving behind in 2022 to make 2023 your best year yet? I'd love to hear it. And until next time, remember that I'm here fiercely advocating for your happiness. Bye. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Yewande, on the Happy Without Medicine podcast this week. If you enjoyed this episode, I would so appreciate it if you could give it a review on Apple Podcast, because it helps Happy Without Medicine pop up when other women are searching for ways to find their happiness again. And visit happywithoutmedicine.com to view the complete show notes and other resources mentioned in today's episode. I'll catch you next time.